So, in order for me to tell a story, there can be no interruptions, no comments, no extra stuff, no sound effects.
That's the best part.
That would be interference. None of that. This is a story that you've all heard before, but I'm sure that you're going to find some amusing parts to it because I'm going to tell it from a slightly different perspective. This is the story of the three little pigs. But it's told from a slightly different perspective. So once upon a time, there were three little pigs. Trevor, Logan, and Connor. So one day, they decided that they needed to go out into the world to be able to build their own little abodes so that they would have a place to live and enjoy the rest of their days. Trevor, because he wanted to play with his Legos and wanted to play with Skylanders, figured that he wanted to build his house the quickest and simplest as he possibly could, so he gathered up some grass and some straw and built a lean-to shack. It wasn't really a house, didn't even have a door. It was just kind of a shelter, but it was just enough room for him to dump all of his Legos on the floor, on the spot where he cleaned all of the grass away. Logan, being resourceful, and thinking a little bit more, not necessarily about anything other than the fact that he wanted to be able to save a buck here or there, decided he was going to build his house using materials he could find as he was scavenging through the forest, which meant sticks.
Serious?
So, Logan's house is built out of sticks. Not many furnishings in this house, a hay bale to sleep on, but hey, he's a pig. Who needs anything more? Connor, on the other hand, was thinking. And he stood at his building site looking around and he started to realize, I have no materials. So, being the smart one that he was, he waited until it was very, very dark and very, very late at night while everybody else was asleep. And then he decided it would be a beneficial idea for him to find another building site somewhere and steal some bricks. He was really quiet about it, climbed up a ladder, nobody even knew about it, used a stool, used a bunch of shelves, climbed really, really high and stole the bricks. Put the bricks right next to the ho-hos that he stole because he likes some ho-hos. So, Trevor's lean-to shack, not too great, but hey, it kept the sun off his back, and he sat there trying to figure out, how am I going to make a Death Star out of this? Logan, after building his house, was looking around saying, where's my Kindle? Where's my Kindle? Where's my Kindle? Connor, on the other hand, is still trying to figure out, now what am I going to do for a roof? Later that night, he went out, found some flashing, and some other building materials, and built a quite sturdy roof. Of course, none of the materials belonged to him. He spent none of his own money, but he was able to put a couple of pennies into his bank.
Borrowing. I'm the smart one in it.
So,
But you sneak.
before you knew it, they were getting very, very comfortable in their homes. And all of a sudden one day, the three of them happened to notice as they were outside, all of them complaining that Rufus had come to their house and crapped on their lawns. I mean, pooped on their lawns. Sorry.
What? Rufus.
Yes, Rufus was now not Connor's pet because now Connor's a pig. He can't have a pet. Unless, of course, it's a mouse. And a pet mouse named Rufus, not going to be too scary. So, Rufus the bulldog just kind of showed up out of nowhere, looked at the pigs, went, said, "Ooh, you smell funny," and he left. Of course, after leaving a gift on each one of your lawns, which Logan said, "Hey, get off of my lawn!"
I know what the gift was.
So, several days later, all of a sudden, as the guys were outside complaining about Rufus yet again, they looked off in the distance and saw, you guessed it, the big bad wolf. Well, they weren't really too concerned. Connor figured, big bad wolf. the middle of the head.
Oh no, I can't wait to hear it.
Trevor was like, I wonder if I can make a wolf out of legs.
I knew you were gonna say that. Oh wait,
What they failed to realize is that the wolf was casing each of their houses, trying to figure out how he was going to have a nice pork dinner. So, before you knew it, here came the big bad wolf. And the big bad wolf started to look around and realize, hey, wait a minute. That house over there that's made out of straw doesn't even have a door. And there's a pig sitting right there. Wait a minute, what's he doing? Is he playing Skylanders? He's never even going to know I'm there. Before you know it, I'll be chomping on some pig leg and he won't even realize it. So, the big bad wolf strolls on over, and it just so happens that he happened to trip over the extension cord that was plugging in his Wii system, and Trevor was like, Connor, what'd you do? So, he realized that the big bad wolf was there and started to get into a little bit of a panic. So, what did he do? He took off. Realized halfway on his way to Logan's house he forgot his Legos, ran back, grabbed a couple of hands full, and left to go to Logan's house. He got to Logan's house, knocked on the door, and he was like, hey, I think there's a wolf thing coming over to my place. Why don't you grab your lacrosse stick, go over there and beat the snot out of it? Logan, not being afraid at all, grabs his lacrosse stick and leaves. He realizes that the big bad wolf is a little bit bigger and badder than what he ever considered. And he figured, Trevor, you can stay in my house. I'm going to Connor's house. So, Logan gets to Connor's house, knocks on the door, and what does Connor say? What do you want, Logan?
How does he know it's Logan?
As a peephole. He stole everything. So, Logan's knocking on the door. Connor's looking out the little peephole, and he's like, Logan, leave me alone. So Logan decides, I think I'm going to go back to my own house. Now, in the meantime, the big bad wolf has completely annihilated Trevor's house, sat on his Wii, crushed his TV, and has been doing really, really funky buildings with his leftover Legos. Because it looks really, really weird when you don't have any heads, but you have bodies and feet. So, Trevor's house is no longer. Logan, now going back to his own house, goes inside to his house to only be greeted by, stop picking on me, Logan! Trevor being very, very upset because his brother was there and, well, Trevor forgot to take his medication. So now the big bad wolf...
Their stories.
Now the big bad wolf gets to Logan's house and knocks on the door and says his famous line, little pigs, and Trevor starts to cry. He didn't take his medication. He's very upset. Little pigs, let me come. Trevor runs up the chimney and flies over to Connor's house, knocks on the door. Connor says, go away, Trevor. So, Connor, after a while, and being able to kindly convince Trevor that he should give him all of his Legos, lets Trevor in. Logan, still hiding out in his house, starts to realize, wait a minute, there's a big honking wolf outside my door. I am going to probably need more than my lacrosse stick. So he looks around and realizes it's the lacrosse stick or a hay bale. I'm kind of stuck at this point. I think I'm going to escape through the window. Only problem is, there is no window. Well, Logan, being as strong as what he thinks he is, decides to just run into the wall and knock it over. He does, the big bad wolf freaks out because the wall just fell down, takes a big deep breath, puffs and puffs, blows the house down. Meanwhile, Logan escapes and goes over to Connor's house. Let me in, Connor! Go away, Logan! Finally, he convinces Connor to let him into the house, but only after he gives Connor his lacrosse stick. So now, Connor has everything. The other two have nothing. But they're all safe in the big bad wolf-proof brick house that Connor built by stealing all of his building supplies. So, they're all comfy. And they start to realize, wait a second, the wolf isn't coming yet. You know what that means? It's time to eat. So, Connor, thinking forwardly, decides, hey, Logan was pretty smart. He broke through his wall, and what he didn't realize was that he's got some stickers on his back. Hey, I can make a fire. He grabs the sticks off his brother's back and starts to create a fire in the fireplace. Decides, you know what? It'd be a pretty good time for us to watch a movie. So he goes to his exorbitant library of DVDs and Blu-ray discs, goes over and picks out a movie so that they can all sit down and watch a movie. After a couple of minutes, Logan sits down next to Connor a little bit too close. Go away, Logan! And Connor decides, I want popcorn. So he goes over to the fire, puts up a pan with a little bit of hot oil in it, and all of a sudden he's thinking to himself, I think I can make some popcorn. It's going to be quite tasty. Wait a minute. What's Trevor doing? Trevor, in the meantime,
Oh no.
is huddled on the couch like this. Right next to Logan, who's doing this. Because they're watching TV and there's nothing that's going to bug them. So, Connor decides, cool, more popcorn for me. Of course, always thinking of himself and what he can steal. Or sneak. Not steal, sneak. So, Connor has snuck plenty of popcorn, makes himself a little bag of popcorn, and forgets that it's on the fire. Meanwhile, finally the big bad wolf gets to say his signature line all the way through. Little pigs, let me come in. Connor says, Logan, don't open the door. Logan says, shh, the movie. Trevor goes, huh? So, finally, Connor goes over to the door and he goes, I ain't opening the door. And he goes, not by the hair of my heady head. So the big bad wolf says he's going to huff and he's puff and he's going to blow the house down. And Connor's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's me.
And while he's saying, yeah, right, Trevor's going, shh, this is the good part. This is the part where the elephant says to the gorilla, this is where the monkey's going to come in. Here comes the monkey. Whoa, I'm dizzy. So, here comes the big bad wolf. He can't get in the door, so he decides he's going to slide down the chimney. Remember, Connor tried to make popcorn. Now, the big bad wolf sliding down the chimney starts to realize, uh-oh, there's some hot oil and popcorn coming my way. So he slides down the chimney, his little toe touches the hot oil, and he realizes this is going to hurt. He realizes it's very, very hot. He takes off, goes flying out the chimney. Now, the three little pigs, astonished that the wolf has left without any sort of threat whatsoever, start to realize, hey, Connor's making popcorn, we got a movie, we're baking. We're baking? Bacon. And they all start to look at each other.
I knew at some point you were going to say that word.
And unfortunately, at that point was the time when they realized that Logan and Connor could overpower Trevor.
Excuse me. How does overpower me?
You could take them.
Wait. Time out.
So, then they start to realize Trevor's the older brother. He's supposed to be the smart one. They look out the window, down the street, and they realize the smart one's house is completely gone. Maybe Trevor's not that smart. Maybe Trevor... Did you just blow milk out your nose?
Why
Wait. So Trevor, even though they don't think he's so smart, goes over to the door. He opens the door, and who does he let in?
What?
Rufus! In comes Rufus. He comes in, smells around, sees the pigs, and starts going, bacon. He looks at Logan. Looks at Connor. Bacon.